Welcome to this reflection for the 29th of April. I'm Val, and welcome to all our Kirk friends here as well as in Hungary and Switzerland. Last week, a group of about 15 of us from East Old and Inverarity parish returned from a visit to our twinned church Zuglo in Budapest. We were pleased to see our Hungarian friends in this beautiful city, and it was so good to strengthen our ties with this church and join in fellowship together. The day after we arrived, we walked to the Scottish Mission Church in Budapest, welcomed by the Reverend Aaron, who showed us round, pointed out the corner in the church dedicated to Jane Haining. When the building was used as a school, she was a Scottish headmistress there who decided not to leave her girls, despite the warnings. Many of them were Jewish, when the Germans invaded Budapest. She was deported to Auschwitz and died there. In a previous reflection, I mentioned the brass cobblestones in the street commemorating such people. And this is the one for Jane in front of the church. You can hear more about our trip to Hungary if you come to our goulash and strudel night on the 8th of May. However, later that day, when we were on our way back from seeing the wonderful opera house and then a meal at the church, we were heading back to our hotel. And by the way, the older ones in our group were able to travel free on all the trains and buses. And whenever we stepped on board the underground, younger people always stood up to give us a seat. So that was nice. Well, while we were trying to walk up the other escalators, hundreds and hundreds of young people were tumbling down the escalators. And apparently this was part of a 3-day rally for their general elections. They were all racing to join in the singing and the dancing and the shouting for change along the Danube or at Hero Square. I've never seen so many people in the underground. So Sunday, the 12th of April, was a momentous day. The voting stations were open till 10 p.m. at night, but by 10 o'clock, it was loud and clear. The younger candidate for the Tisan party, Peter Magyar, had won a landslide victory. Nearly 70% of the seats in the government. The election turnout, by the way, was about nearly 79%. The former leader, Viktor Orbán, was ousted after ruling for 16 years. Now, I deliberately didn't get into conversation about political matters with our hosts, some of whom perhaps did not want change. But the young people in the church clearly did. Just like our coming elections in May, even family members have different opinions when it comes to national matters. Orbán, as leader of the Fidesz party, has been accused of corruption, putting pressure on poor people, and his party is deeply embedded in the country's courts, institutions and the media. And for that reason, Hungary has been denied millions of EU funds. Now, Peter was a member of the same party, but he left that a few years ago and started up this new party. His ex-wife was the Minister of Justice, so he knew what was going on. But he's more interested in repairing the ties with Brussels. And he says his 40 or 50,000 volunteers are unstoppable. They want change because of the economic stagnation and falling living standards. Now, opponents have flooded the internet with AI-generated posts. There's no EU law enforcement of the media there. And they're accusing Peter of reviving conscription and sending troops to Ukraine. But now other democracies will be watching closely. Poland has elections next summer, but their election campaigns have already started. And guess which European city Peter will visit first as Prime Minister? Yeah, Warsaw. But I think Peter Murger has captured the mood in his country, and I hope he can do well. Thank you for listening, and see you soon.